I am purpose driven. It's not personal, it's purpose. When you see me, there's deeper than what meets the eyes. There is a soul, a spirit, a divine purpose. I am being. Join me Thursdays at 10 a.m. Finding Happy on UNE Radio. Thursdays at 10 a.m. There. Thank you so much for joining me today on Finding Happy podcast. I am Satin Brownie, and I am so happy to be here with you today. It's a rainy day where I am. I love the rainy weather. It's my absolute favorite. And so the place is pretty cool. And I can see the trees, and it's just gorgeous. And I'm just embracing this newness, this new day, because with a new day comes new opportunities, new experiences, and change is not such a bad thing. It's actually a positive thing, it's a positive thing. And so I am embracing my new day. Today I wanna engage in a conversation about the journey to discovering your life's purpose, or your life purpose. And so I would like to first ask you 3 questions. You can leave the answer in the comment section, or you can just think about it, right? And the first question is, have you found you're happy? What in your life brings you to your place of mental peace? That's number 2. And number 3, what is your place of refuge when life's turbulences hit? Some questions to think about. Happiness, you see, or at least in my opinion and from my observation, is greatly underrated. I think happiness is severely underrated. There can be no peace of mind. There can be no peace in your life without first achieving contentment and peace of mind. We spend thousands of dollars and countless hours on our physical parents, but many ignore the perils of the mind. We become so loyal to external influences that neglecting our own internal consciousness and core becomes second nature. This leaves us vulnerable to negative outcomes, which can have a troubling impact on our mental well-being and quality of life. For example, lack of self-discovery. Some of us do not know who we are beyond writing our own name on a form, or introducing ourselves to someone we've met. We are so heavily influenced by external information that unless we seek therapy, coaching, or counseling, we may never effectively tap into our deeper selves. And it's true, I've experienced it. This results in us not knowing who we truly are, oblivious to our life purpose, or worse, lack of self-concept. Then there's the career misfits, or the career misfit. According to Gallup 2018, a staggering 87% of employees worldwide are not engaged in their work, not happy in their work. The company, which has 30 years of research with more than 30 million employees, reports that companies with highly engaged workforces outperform their peers by 147% in earnings per share. Let's connect our personal self with that. It means that, at least it means to me, that when I'm happy, I have a greater chance of increasing my income. Think about that, yeah? Then there is mental illness. Across the globe, there is a fight, there is a problem of mental illness, right? I remember reading a report from the World Health Organization that said that by 2020, 1 out of 4 persons will suffer from, I think it was either a mental health illness or depression. That's staggering. That's mind-boggling. We've got to stop and take note. In Jamaica, reportedly, there's a mental health epidemic. At least that's what the reports are saying. Professionals in the field have expressed their worries. Between 2011 and 2018, headlines such as "Mad in Jamaica," "Mental Alert," "Mental Emergency," "Mental Illness Worry," "Schizophrenia in Jamaica," and "Depression affect 1 in 10 Jamaicans," among others, frequented the local papers. That is something, isn't it? That is something. Today, we're going to be speaking with a very special person. Her name is Kisha Palmer. She's been a teacher for almost 2 decades, and she's also a trained paralegal. Kisha has served her country. However, she is currently considering a career transition, a career change. So we're going to have this conversation with her to learn about her, and also to share her story and to learn from her story, so that we can support her as well as we can learn from her. So let's welcome Kisha. Welcome, Kisha.
Thank you so much for having me.
The journey to discovering your life purpose.
Okay.
That's the topic we're going to have the conversation around.
Yes.
For some of us, for everyone, the life purpose is a discovery, right?
Right.
And we know what people go through. If you've ever watched a National Geographic program, you know what it takes to have a successful discovery. It takes time, it takes investment, it takes the work.
Yes.
Some digging, right? Research. And unearthing and research. Yeah, there we go. So while some persons may think it's easy to just figure out who you are, it's not so easy, because you didn't create yourself. We didn't create ourselves. And so we have to spend the time, or take the time, to get to understand. And that's why I have this podcast called Finding Happy, because this is me finding mine. So I engage in conversations with persons like yourself, who are able to speak their truth, own their truth, and speak it. So we can have an honest conversation for a change, because I think there is a need for honest conversation. Yes, honest conversation about life advancement, and the things that matter. the podcast, let me give you a little background about what it really is about. The podcast is really about finding one's happiness, finding one's place of peace, contentment, whatever happiness means to anyone. I call it finding happy because I believe that after becoming a coach and finding my own healing, I realized that we look for everything else and we call it so many things, but we never call it happy. Why? When happiness is perhaps the most important thing. We're supposed to be happy. That's the journey.
Yes.
But oftentimes we don't really talk about it that way, do we? We say find a career or find work to do or find something to do, but we never connect it back to what makes us feel good. So go ahead.
Yes, I think that it stems from our parenting and ancestors, because they're used to being taught to get up, get a job, be industrious, for the females, get married, but nobody was teaching them to be happy. And
That's
so it's
true.
passed down to you as a child. And you just figure that, you know what, I go to school up until college, university, and I get a job.
Yes.
Check, I did that. Next thing I should do, I should get married. Check, you did that. And some persons may never do it, and they're like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? I didn't get married, and everybody else is having kids. I didn't do it.
Right? And sometimes the person who's sitting there saying, oh my God, I didn't do this, don't even want it.
No, that's the thing. And a lot of persons don't want it. They don't desire it. And I love to hear when females would say, I have one child, I don't want it anymore, because it's hard to raise one human being, much more 10. I really don't know how persons do it. Going 5, going 10, they're crazy as far as I'm concerned. It's madness.
Or maybe they're happy having happy sex.
Maybe, but the consequence of that,
the consequences,
a
right?
lot of kids.
Yes, and I think sometimes sex becomes the happy we find because we didn't really go searching. So we land upon sex, and it's lovely and it's good, and it gives you this orgasm that takes you to this happy place for a moment. And we keep wanting to recreate that. And I think that's because that is why drugs are successful, that people are taking them, is that high that we get to. How do we cultivate our lives that we live that high in the positive things that we do? That is what finding happy is about. And that's what our conversation is going to be about.
Well, if I could answer that question, yes, for me, it came through pain. Yes. Discovery. I like to discover. Always curious when I was a child. Inquisitive. And when I realized that certain things were not happening for me, I wondered why. And I went on a path every year, especially at my birthday. I'm always trying to improve on myself during that time. So the pain that I was going through, didn't like it. Nobody likes pain. And I got tired of feeling a certain way and tired of being in a certain environment. So the journey began or continued on seeking happiness and seeking help, you know, because you want the pleasure, you want the consistent happiness. You don't want a high, as you refer to as a drugs or sex or. So the journey for happiness is something that I always sought in the last couple of years because I was miserable.
Wow.
Miserable, unhappy. Things were not working out the way I wanted to. Things were not happening. And through coaching, you helped me with coaching. And that was eye-opening. Aha moments. Hard. It's the hardest thing I had to do. To dive deep into everything that's going on, good or bad, and to see yourself. Good thing about it is I'm always open to that, even though sometimes I may react to criticism or, you know.
And that's a natural thing. And it's a good thing.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. But I love the fact that I want to push through and go to the next side, you know?
Yes. We've dived right into talking about you seeking your happy. I'm going to take you back a little back to learn a little bit more about you. You've been a teacher for
Yes.
almost 2 decades. And let me share something with you, okay? I have never committed to anything outside
So
of my
long.
own life for 2 decades. Okay?
Oh my
Congratulations.
gosh.
Congratulations. I remember the last job I had. I made a promise to myself and I said to myself, you've got to stay here for 2 years.
Wow, 2
Because,
years.
yes, because interviewers kept saying, but you only stay there for a year and something. And I said, okay, I need to go 2 years. And I'm telling you, it was a task. It was a task
Wow.
staying and remaining for 2 years. And I stayed for 4. And
Wow.
yeah, I'm so
That's
proud of
good.
myself. I'm
Double.
so proud of myself, right? So you've served your country as a teacher for 17 years or over 17 years, right?
This is the 17th year.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
How did you become a teacher in Jamaica, and what was the journey that led you to that decision?
Okay. Childhood dream is to be a lawyer. That was it from the moment I started watching Perry Mason. Love Perry Mason, love Perry Mason, the black and white TV, and love to talk, love to ask questions. But I was discouraged from doing that by my parents, saying that lawyers tell lies. You
My
shouldn't do
dad did
that.
that to me too. I wanted to become a lawyer, and he said lawyers are liars. I changed.
So unfortunately, I listened to them because I regret it. I wish I had a more clear view of who I was. When I decide to do something, I just do it. You understand? I commit to it. So everybody else is going to college, right? And I did not want to be at home, so I just applied to college. That was it.
Yeah.
And I ended up at Bethlehem Teachers College doing something that I didn't like, home economics. I don't like cooking. And I ended up doing that. And got a job at my mom's workplace. After I'd sending out applications all over the place, nowhere. I didn't get a job anywhere else. Right in Christiana, which is close to me. And so that's how I began teaching. I started there September 2001. And it became normal.
Wow, normal.
Yes.
A choice of
You
words.
just do it. It's normal until it became a pain, abnormal, because I just could not relate to the behavior of the school culture because it wasn't what I was used to. I went to Knox. I was raised a different way and I couldn't relate. And I stuck it out. Year 10, I'm still there. But something broke, I think, 2015, 2016. It's like I just had enough. Like I started to crumble under the pressure of being there.
What was that like for you? Take us through your crumbling and the experience. What started happening?
That came to my mind a while ago was a cake. When you bake a cake and you don't put the ingredients in, and when you pull the cake out of the oven and it crumbles and it sinks because the foundation was just not right. And I just became unhappy with my job because I wasn't feeling purposeful.
Oh my God, I'm getting emotional. I'm so sorry. We've spoken before. But it's the
There
first
was
time
no
hearing you
purpose.
describe it that way. Wow.
No
Yeah.
purpose. I felt useless. I did not matter to my students. That's how I felt. I'm sure I affected change in a small amount, but majority, they could not care less what I had to say. It was not just a paycheck anymore. It was like, it felt like I'm dying. I literally felt like my life was wasting away. I would come home and just be wasting away, like sitting down and wondering, what am I doing? I am more valuable than this. I have more to offer. Why am I wasting my time with these people? Sorry, that's how I felt.
And that's
Why am I
okay.
here? Why am I wasting my time? Why am I going through this ridicule, mocking, the abuse, the verbal abuse from students? And I reacted to their behavior negatively too. I'm not gonna lie. Like I reacted to their behavior. To this. I think I learned better now with coaching. Thank God, how I could relate to these kids better. And being on leave, I've been doing such a spiritual introspect of my life, and I'm calmer now. But I remember last week or 2 weeks ago, I was in the town and I saw a few of them and I had a meltdown.
Wow.
I went home and I was like, it's like PTSD or something.
Wow.
Like, oh
Wow.
my God. Because I remember the hell that they put you through in the classroom. A lot of persons, they don't think about teachers and the mental health and the toll it takes on you. I remember when I wrote my letter to get my vacation leave last year, I outlined everything in that letter that I was cracking under pressure. I basically told my their interference. I basically told my principal that I'm not fit to be in the classroom right now. And I was denied the leave. And I was so not prepared to go back to work. On the first day of school, I was like, I didn't buy nothing to go back, but one pair of shoes. I'm like, I don't want to be here.
I can't go on to the next question until I address it. You drew an illustration, and I think it was so powerful that I think we need to think on it a little more for the one person that may be listening to this that can.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like a cake that you put inside the oven with insufficient ingredient, and it came out and it just break up.
Mm-hmm.
And I got so emotional because I could see the cake. When you
Mm-hmm.
said the cake, let me tell you what I saw. I saw you open an oven,
Mm-hmm.
a round chocolate cake. It had nothing on it. It was just on like a platter. You take it out and it just sick.
Yeah, and
And
it's cracking.
yes, and the
Yeah.
first thought that came to my mind is, how did your environment respond to your breaking?
Wow. It wasn't nice. My supervisors, when I ended up in the in the VP office or principal office for something, they couldn't see that it was a deeper problem underneath all of that. Because normally I do my job and I do it well. The task, I would do it. I have no issues. But when a conflict arises, when I'm not handling things well and I ask for help from my supervisors, it would be my fault, basically. You're not doing your job. I've been told that many times by my supervisor. You don't do your job, you're not doing a job. And I remember the last time, I've been there 17 years and I've never walked out of a classroom back to back in one day. Never. And it happened that day. I just could not deal with it. The disrespect from students, And I was there in the office and I'm like, I can't take it. And she's like, you didn't do your job. You didn't do your job. So even if you go home today, you're not going to get paid for it today. But she's not seeing that I was in need of help. Like, would you rather me stay there? Because in the
Yes.
past, I would stay there and I would cuss and I'll be in more trouble in the past, and I'd be written up by principal or VP or whatever student. But I chose to walk away, which is smart on my part. Instead of staying there and battling the adversity in my classroom, I left, and I still was, slapped over my shoulder like I didn't do my job.
While you're crying out for help, pretty much.
Yeah, but my friends saw that and they understood because they go through the same thing. Mm-hmm. It's a daily battle, a daily task.
Do you think it's a case where the principal or the person you're turning to for help, or with the hope that they would at least see your cry, don't have the relevant skill set either?
Sure, they don't.
Yeah.
They don't. And I think that, sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
I think that as a principal or vice principal or anybody in leadership position, you should be taught or coached on how to behave. Sensitivity to your employees, your colleagues must be in the environment, the work environment. I remember when I was doing my course in paralegal studies with your school MAC project, and they talk about employment law, and I could not believe how they treated the employees. I wanted to move to wherever they were teaching that. They were so sensitive, and they had the rules written out. If you didn't follow the rules, they had steps, and they were sensitive to your need. They didn't just push you away and say, go do your job. Or I was told to find another job.
Wow.
Right? And I've been there for over a decade, and this is how you treat me.
When you think about that, and think about the fact that here I am in a job I didn't love anyway in the first place, but I've committed myself to. And with that comes all of this, when I didn't even, this is not even something that brings me the joy or the healing that I need in the first place, but I have committed. Does that feel like a double whammy to you?
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Because it's easy to say, let me quit. It's easy to say, let me just find another job. But I had to stay in there for different reasons.
Because there are other things at stake, right?
Other things at stake. So I wasn't gonna just say, let me quit. But I actually was gonna quit 2 years ago. I was gonna quit. I was desperate. If I could get in somebody's suitcase and fly off to another country, that is how desperate I was. I wanted to leave. And my friends and family were like, no, stick it in. You have 2 years left until this, stick it in. Because, to be there so long and not get my benefits, so.
It's almost like there's no exit strategy that works in your favor.
Right.
I'm sorry you went through the things.
Yeah, me too. It was hard, but I think that there's a purpose for me going through all of that, as anybody's story. For you to go through your pain, there's a reason. There has to be a reason. Because one day you're going to be able to help somebody else. You're going through the life, and when you're young, you have adults who helped you. You get older, people help you along the way. You get older and you help somebody else who's younger than you or the same age or older than you. We're supposed to pass it on until we die. You can't just come through the world and just don't help anybody. What did you learn? What did you learn when you're at the school of life? What did you learn? So you fight through your battles, and you fight and you help somebody else fight theirs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Know that you're considering this change in based on what you spoke about. What are the steps that you're taking? I like calling it the career that heals you, the work that heals you.
I love that, the work that heals you. Yes, I love that question. Because as I said before, law was my thing, right? And I did coaching with you, and you knew law is my thing. And I remember the last session that we did, and I'm thinking, because I've been working so hard and so long that I'm tired, exhausted. And I don't want to go to another career where I'm going to be up at the crack of dawn and I go to bed at the crack of dawn. I want a career that allows me to set my own hours, in the sense where I go in and I help. I must be helping. I must feel useful and purposeful. And even though I love law, I still love it, there was something missing, you know? It wasn't 100% there. I was like questioning still. And so I realized that I didn't consult my maker, you know, about it. And so I still had questions. I still was just wondering, could I be purposeful in that field? Could that field bring glory to God? So I went to church. I went to fasting service. And on the way, my friend asked me, he's like, Miss P, what do you think about guidance and counseling? And I'm like, what? No. I want to be a lawyer. You know that already. And he didn't say anything. And I went inside the service. We're there and they were giving offering. And the ministers said that we should come up with their offering. But while they were giving the offering, they were giving prophetic word to each person. And I just got up and went in front of one of my other friends and said, I'm going before you. And I went and she said, I see you in the classroom as a guidance counselor. Go do that. That's what God said you should do. Do what you need to do and go do that. And I'm like, okay. And I went back down and I smiled at my other friend because he just said it to me a while ago. And I'm like, okay, cool. Let's see how I'll work with this. And I started researching that. And when I found the school that I thought that I would, like, I felt peace with it.
Wow.
Yes. I was not confused about it anymore.
Wow.
I felt peace with that decision. Mm-hmm. And I started planning towards that decision.
Yes. That's powerful. And when you think about it, and what I often say to my clients, like when they say they have to do the work to really find out if, you know what they call lawyers?
What?
Counselor.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So.
Legal, counselor, counselor.
So sometimes, so that's why sometimes, even in coaching, you'll see where even though you say one thing, we still seek to approach it without a label. Mm-hmm. Right? So for example, at your with the information you're having, law is it. Sometimes once you broaden your scope, search who you are, and you get to find out that, oh, okay, it's the cousin to what I was thinking. Mm-hmm. And then you find yourself automatically. Mm-hmm. So I am proud of where you are, because I know the work that it took, and I know the time that you had to be given to, right? Yeah. So that's very good. That's very good. And see, you'd have already had so much experience in the classroom, right? Yes. And so we could even dare to say you're now an expert into the issues that the school faces, not just with the teachers as well, right? And do you think perhaps the solution you were looking for from others is what you were supposed to bring? Yeah. Right? So that's why you're expecting, I'm expressing that I'm so and so, but you're not responding that way. But the reason you're able to identify, right? Yes. So you would recognize it, but chances are they wouldn't, because their focus is something else. Right? And I understand their focus. Yes. They have a job to do, and they're trying to make sure that everybody's efficient. Right.
But
Right. And that
they're
does not
not.
excuse, just for the sake that psychosocial support is everyone.
Mm-hmm. Everybody.
As a matter of fact, a report, I think in 20 stated where almost 1 million Jamaicans out of the are having challenges with mental and
You bet.
personality disorders and
Mm-hmm.
depression. I remember I started a foundation, and the reason I started a foundation was to work with people like yourselves. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
want to work with the lowest. I wanted to work with work needed. As a matter of fact, when I started it out, it was called a
Okay.
ear, to have someone anonymous talk to, vent to. You could just say, "This is what I'm feeling," and know that you're being heard.
Yes.
That you're being heard. So
Being heard. Very important.
being heard and your feelings
Mm.
validated. Yes,
They
I
matter.
understand that this is you
Mm-hmm.
matter, right? So it is important that I remember I was having a conversation with someone else, since I asked was, do you think that the pub should play a part in the selection of personnel for certain for government, who is selected to be a should the community that principal play a role in in selecting that person? Should teachers play a part in that person? Is just for example,
Right. Mm-hmm.
I think a principal is just as important. As a matter of fact, it
Yeah.
probably is more important, because sometimes the failure of those in these positions that cause the person to end up in front of the student, right? So something worth thinking about, because what you've experienced, it could have ended
Mm-hmm.
worse. You cracked,
Oh
you
my God.
broke, you stank, you could have become suicidal,
Oh my
you
gosh.
could have become a murderer, you could have hurt a kid,
I know that I could have been hurt. I could have been killed
and
as
you
well.
could have exactly
So many times. So
yes,
it's God's grace. I'm telling you.
isn't it? It is. And also decisions you were making, because we are
Mm-hmm.
right. Is being happy in your
Yes. 1000%.
house? So
Well, it makes me feel good. I'm tired of feeling sucky. Sorry. I'm tired of feeling bad.
yes, yes.
I reject it. Like, I reject it. And I rejected it so much in the past by being angry or walk away.
Mm-hmm.
I rejected it by being angry at the person or persons or situation. Then I said, all right, I don't want to be angry. I'm going to ignore you, ignore the matter, walk away from you. But no,
You're making it.
I want it to be where if you come at me, I'm like, you know what? You need help.
Ah,
I see that you need some help.
yes,
I'm going to stand right here and smile at you.
yes. And you can give them some of the love that you weren't able to get.
Yes.
Tony Robbins said,
Mm-hmm.
love. And when we're able to recognize that, we can just love them. Even if we can't help them, we can love. That's
Mm-hmm.
okay. So from teacher to paralegal or to
Mm-hmm.
counseling,
Yes.
how is that journey going?
Um,
Looking forward to.
it's good. It's a good journey. It's slow. I've slowed down. I've been going to school from a long time. I've been working straight, nonstop.
Over 20 years, I think you had said of learning.
Yes,
Right? Wow.
more than that, because I'm in my 30s, late 30s. So from primary school, go all the way up to working, and I never took any break.
Wow.
So I'm slowing down. It's the first time I'm actually not working or doing anything from I was a baby, maybe.
Me time.
Such from summer school, summer holidays, or which is 2 months. So I'm taking the time and I'm making sure that I'm doing the right thing.
You're choosing.
Yes. And I'm making sure I don't make any mistakes and make sure that it aligns with what God wants me to do, because it makes no sense. It makes no sense because he kind of reroutes everything else in my life anyway. So if I don't do what he says, he's like, no, go back over there, stay right there, and go like that. Yes.
That's absolutely true.
So it make no sense. I do anything else.
Yes, yes. I feel at peace for you.
Yes, as I knew you were, worried about me.
Yes, I was.
But I
And I
said,
know that you had to get, I
yeah.
know that you needed time to process,
Mm-hmm.
right? I have another question for you. You have had almost 2 decades and within the
Mm-hmm.
education system.
Yeah.
About how many young people will you have?
Thousands.
Yes.
17 years. Each year I have 14 classes or so.
Wow.
Um,
14 classes.
yeah. So it's like 40 odd kids in one class or 30 odd kids in one class. Yeah, thousands.
You lie.
Thousands.
I
Yeah.
never thought that.
Every year
I
is
never
like
went that far.
every year is yeah, from I teach RE for a long while, so it was 14, 13, 14 classes.
Does our youth seem happy? You are right smack in the middle of
Mm-hmm.
in your estimation, young people are happy.
No.
Why would you say so?
Because their children have lost their innocence a long time ago. I remember when I was their age, I was happy. I was boring, but I was happy. Compared to what they are doing now and what they're seeing, what they know, what they're exposed to, it damages their innocence.
What are some of
They've
the
lost it.
you've seen
And
based
then,
on your experience there?
pardon me?
What are some of the things encountered are exposed to? You think have robbed them of their innocence?
Poor parenting. Family is very important. It's the backbone of the society. And when you have parents who are struggling to maintain their own sanity, to provide for their children, struggling in their own way through life, and the children feel the blunt of that pain from their parents, and they come to school and they show it to the other kids and the other teachers.
Right.
So they're not happy.
And imagine it.
Oh my gosh.
I know, right? Cycle. The last job I left, remember my dad had died, and one of my management, one of the person was trying to get me to come back, but I was onto a dark place, right? Because I'd lost my dad. People,
Not true.
but it also showed me the reality
Cold.
of society.
Society is
So
cold.
that to be yours. For me, I think we are so sensitized that it becomes we're no longer saying, oh wow, did you just
Yeah, it's a tactic of the enemy.
Yeah, it is.
To desensitize people.
Yes. To pain.
Yeah.
And to
You should
hurt.
get used to it.
Yes. Get over it. Like
It's normal. People die every day.
Yes.
People get killed every day.
Get on with it.
Yeah, move on.
You know?
Like
Exactly.
mm-hmm.
There was a time when we'd say that, like if you're watching TV, but it's the one contact and we're there. So that is what our young
And it's worse for them because I remember being innocent of all those things. I had that phase, but they don't have that phase. Maybe for them, their innocence was lost at 3 years old when they saw somebody get shot on television.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like they're exposed to those things from early because their parents don't shield them until the correct age.
Right. Do they demonstrate this over quite a lot of thousands? Do you see where they demonstrate clarity of mind as they seek to advance their education, or are they just going through the motion?
They go through the motions of life. They go through the motions. Some of them, yes, the older students would know what they would want because they're older. But it may change. It will change. Their desires may change, but they're just going through, and their focus is to get the money. You know, what can I get that's quick? How can I make money that's quick without having to spend all this time at school? You know,
right.
That's my experience with the students that I have taught
Could it be
mostly.
that they don't really understand why they're going to school and why it's so important to get an outside of the parameters of you need to get, do they understand that coming to school means sharpening your skills, advancing any area that you...
For the older students, fifth form, yes, the older students who are in the top classes will have that keen ability. The fast track classes from grade 7 to 11, which is C stream, they would have that in them.
So you have different, describe that for me, different kinds of classes?
Yes, you have the faster students would be in a higher percentile of the shift.
And what?
Probably 5 or 10%, because it's like you have C stream, you have C, the top class is C stream, and you have HRIS afterwards. So they
Right?
yes, because it's Christiana. Yes. So they spell it out like that. Yeah. So those kids would know that what they want and they work towards it.
And
H may know and R, you may have, it trickles down, you know. So C to T is supposed to be the top half.
right.
And A onwards. But you have persons who are in the lower stream who move up to the higher stream and work, and you have persons who fall. So, yeah.
Right. Is there a system in the school to really help?
Not career coaching. They may have guidance and counseling. You may have social studies, may have a topic or so that would talk about career.
Yeah, but
I
we'll
teach.
talk about, I mean, the whys and the why does it,
Mm-hmm.
planning for the future, like.
They will have career expo days.
Okay.
And projects like those where students will match their career, and you have from grade 9 they will have those things in certain classes where they will know exactly which class they want to go into or which career they want to move towards.
Where would you say that?
I'm going to hope for change.
Where do you think?
Change will happen.
Well, if none should happen, it happen right now, or if it takes another
crisis, maybe. Crisis. What?
Where we are.
Pardon?
A more advanced crisis than where we are.
Which is something that's very scary to even think about. You know.
Sometimes things.
I'd be used to it, and it would, you know.
Yes. So sometimes, you see, it getting worse is not always a bad. Sometimes getting worse is causes it to and become open, so we can. When you say
yes,
what do you mean?
I don't want to go into American school system, but the day when we become like American school system and persons enter the classroom and start shooting kids, that's to me is awful.
Wow.
With mental health issues, I always fear that I don't want to be in a classroom. I always, say, what happened? One of these days, somebody just walks up in here and does something like that at a breaking point, and so I don't want it to reach that
At least that's what
depth
we
of
hope will be the breaking
crisis.
Yeah. And what change would you like to see?
What I'm seeing in me, what I see in you, what I see in other persons like us, and there are people like that. You see, because God has risen those people up there. He's been raising those persons up. They're there. And so, like doctors, these persons have the solution to these issues, to social change, So I'm not worried about it.
What do you think? I understand what you mean when you say change needs to happen, but guess what? We had to go seek it. For example, I had to go do the work to make a choice that I remember I was motivated by. I did not ask for help. I did not, didn't pray about it. I didn't ask God to. I purposely that was me deciding it's not happening again. So I'm not going to run from this pain. I'm going to choose. In coaching, we talk about motive. I decided I'm going to choose. I'm going to choose
Yes.
to work because I'm happy. What would you say? Give me 3 things these young people propel that change.
They have to want it. That's the first thing. You have to desire the change.
Yes.
You have to be willing to commit to working on changing.
Yes.
And you have to seek help from other persons. You can't do it alone.
Yes. And I want to underscore that last one. Seek help, but are not willing to do the work.
Willing to commit.
Not willing to commit. So those points that you weekly on points. Now that you know exactly where you're heading, what are the steps you're taking?
Research. You know me, I like to research. So I'm looking at different schools. I'm thinking working and studying or studying alone. So I had to be thinking about that. So I'm still in the research phase of it.
And the next step
We got an application on some, but still researching.
Okay.
To apply and then go choose a school.
Yes.
Find the
Are you going to do
resources.
online? Well, I don't. Going to be online, or you're going to go away? What's your?
I would love to go to school.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to go to school and sit in the classroom and be a student again because I like to learn. But you have to think about finances and all that, right? You have to think about everything. Planning it out.
Planning.
Yes.
I understand.
Oh yeah, I'm at peace. I'm happy.
Yeah.
And I don't want it to be a happiness because I'm no longer in conflict. I want it to transcend to that because I have to go back to work. So I want to bring that with me. And that's why I spend the time to soak in the happiness. If it's even to just sit down and enjoy a sweetie, you know, or whatever food I'm eating, to actually taste that food.
Wow.
Drink that water and feel the water going down inside of you. Yeah.
Yes.
Feel the water going in, flowing through your system.
Yes.
So living in the now, that's just it. Living in the now, try not to worry about the future, because I used to worry a lot. So stop worrying about the future. Live for today, live in the now. Experience what you're experiencing. Plan, trust God, hope, and He will take care of the rest. You're right. I remember me. Remember who I was.
I do.
Last year.
You're blossoming now. How does it feel?
Lighter. Lighter. And I'm more in touch with my emotions. You know, when you get emotional and then you don't want to cry.
Yes.
You don't want to laugh out loud.
Yes.
But now I'm like, I'm gonna cry. It's healthy to cry. I want to laugh out loud at something. Yeah, that never stopped me before. But being in touch with my emotions and being able to express it in a healthy way is important to me.
Awesome. What would you say to the person who says happiness is over?
You're a cynic. A person's a cynic and the person's believing the lies of the enemy. You know, because if you're God's child, God wants happiness for you. I don't believe in person's view of being godly and you must suffer. Yes, testings and trials come your way and you have to go through it. But there are persons who just think that suffering is a badge of honor, that they will get a medal for it. Like, if you suffer through this all the time, you're going to get a crown. No. Be happy. Want it. You know?
Feel that.
Yes. And happiness is not contingent on what you have or where you are in life or what you look like. You know? It's based off of you actually finding yourself in God, finding yourself in your purpose, why you're here, and being okay with who you are, your past, and your present. Forgiving yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself. Extending grace to yourself. And that's important because when you extend grace to yourself, you can extend grace to other people. And that's something that I recently, yeah, because how people react to other people harshly and unforgiving is because you haven't forgiven yourself.
Yeah.
When you're quick to throw the stone at the woman who committed adultery, it means that you haven't forgiven yourself in your sin.
Yeah.
So that's important. You have to forgive yourself. You have to love yourself. You have to extend grace to yourself first. You can't love yourself, and you can't say you love people then and don't love yourself.
Right.
It's not the true love.
Mm-hmm.
It's not right. It's not right love. You come first. Yes.
Awesome. As we close this interview,
That they can do it. They can do anything that they want to do. Yes. You can do all things. The Philippians 4:13. You can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. You can do anything you want.
that is such an interesting quote. I usually ask persons or clients that I have who declare they're Christian. I think I asked you too.
Yes, you did.
How do you say?
Yeah, because we were
repeating things.
Yes, we're taught that. It's rote learning.
Yeah.
You're taught that at church. You hear that Bible scripture all the time.
Yeah, it's just something you know.
Yeah, but you never really actually examine it. And
yeah.
Well, I guess you have to go through things to actually know what that means.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thank you.
It was so lovely speaking with Kisha. Very interesting conversation. And I'm sure some of the things she spoke about, it's not unique to her. You listening to this podcast might have experienced one or two of what she spoke about, or some of the things she spoke about. I certainly have experienced some of them, right? And if you need help, or you would like some support or some guidelines or some idea as to how do I navigate my life and my career to make sure that at the end of the day I'm happy, here are three questions you must ask yourself. 1, what is the purpose or mission of my life that must be expressed through my work? You have to ask yourself that question. What is the purpose or mission of your life that must be expressed through your work? The second one is, what values must be expressed in my work for optimal satisfaction? Ask yourself, what values must be expressed in your work for you to achieve optimal satisfaction? And the third critical question is, what motivates me to do my absolute best? What really interests me? Ask yourself, what motivates you to do your absolute best? And what is it that really interests you? Those are crucial questions. Our problems will not be fixed in one smile, one moment of joy, or even in one conversation with a coach, because of years of build-up, years of doing things a certain way. However, we can begin to redesign our fate, beginning with ourselves, beginning with one thing, beginning with one choice, one decision. A decision to be happy, a decision to choose to be happy. If each individual begins, if each of you begin to make changes in your own life, this will result in major societal changes as well. If each of us begin to make the changes that would result in us being more content, happy, at peace in our lives, this will result in a major societal change as well. We must begin by changing the way we think. This is what we call paradigms. Our paradigms are our perspectives on the things that happen in and around us, from the most insignificant to the most critical. And I'm going to share with you how myself as a certified career coach, or any career coach you choose, can help you. They can help you, all right? We can help you. Career coaches can help you design and discover, or we as career coaches can help you discover and design your career. We can help you connect with the work you are passionate about that pays you. We can also help you in successful transition from one job to another. From the job you don't like to the job you like. Let me change this. Here is how a career coach can help you. Whether the career coach is myself or someone else, it doesn't matter. Seek help. Get it where you can. We can help you to discover and design your career, the career that works for you, your ideal career. We can help you connect with the work you are passionate about that pays. We can help you with a successful transition from the job you don't like to the job you will like, or to a job you will like. And we can also help you harmonize your purpose with your current work life. So if you like, this does not mean that you have to change your job. You don't have to change your job if you don't want to, but you can if you want to, right? And remember, as we come to a close, if you have any questions, comments, or feedback, please leave it in the comment section. To join me in a conversation on finding happy, contact us at www.certifiedcoach.co or on Facebook at certifiedcoach.co or Instagram at own.yourtruth. Thank you so much for listening and for spending time with us and for sharing in this conversation. Please comment.